well, this is a conversation. So, you know, what are you seeing in your school councils for elections? Do you have any questions that, you know, myself or one of the other PIAC members, or even, you know, let's share, right? What are we seeing and what are we experiencing? What can we do to help each other? Actually, before I do that, PIAC members, you want to just wave and introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Janice. I'm Ward 11 Alt, and I've been on PIAC coming up on 2 years.
Seema?
Hey, hi everyone. I'm Seema Mitchell. I'm the Ward 18 rep, and yes, I've been here for 2 years with PIAC.
Thanks. Nazra, you there?
I'm here. Hey everybody, I'm Nazara. I'm the alternate for Ward 14, and happy to be here.
Thank you. So to start us off, anybody have any, you know, burning questions, or are they seeing anything at their council level that they'd like to bring up?
Can I pose a question to you, Felicia?
Sure.
Okay, so it's been made quite clear that the election and the information that's given about the election is to elect parent members to a voting position on council, and it's not, and we're not talking about executive positions. So I guess the natural next question would be, at what point would you be holding the elections for executive positions? Should it be before the first school council meeting of the year, or at the first school council meeting of the year?
So what I have experienced is that, and what I recommend, is that you hold your general election for your general members, right? And after you have held your general elections and you've you know, determined your membership, from those members, you would elect your executive. And so that can happen right after the general election of your general membership. That being said, you know, we are in a pandemic situation, and if there needs to be a little bit more time, the ministry is giving us leeway at this time to, you know, extend out that a little bit. So after you have your general membership elected, you could give it another couple of weeks, and, you know, just to give people an opportunity to learn more about what the different executive positions are, and then have nominations for that and elections for that at the following meeting.
Okay, so the important thing is that we have the initial election for the voting members by the end of October.
Yes. So, so I see some questions here in the chat. Unfortunately, I'm having a hard time reading it.
Hey Felicia, it's Nazara. I was trying to reply to Osama's question. So he asked, you know, I'm sorry, I don't have a mic or a camera. I have a question about how to run elections. The Zoom meetings will have sessions joining the meetings. How can we count votes for 2 people anonymously when they join in one session? And one of the workarounds that we had at our council and Mark Garneau was that the principal created a doodle poll, sent the link to only the parents that were voting members, and that's how we kind of held the election anonymously. So I hope that helps.
I think, and then, sorry, we have another question. Helen? What are the timeframes requirements for running for executive roles? Okay, I think I answered that one. We also have Michelle Monroe on, who's our resident expert, and we'd like to say welcome, Michelle.
Thanks, Felicia. Glad to be here. Glad to be listening.
Thank you. So yes, so thanks, Nazra, for sharing that doodle suggestion.
I think Kim had a question as well.
I did. Hi, I'm Kim Welch. I wanted to know if you can explain the reason why the two nominations are separate. Um, I ask this because with our parents, the efficiency of having them nominate themselves for the council and then also identifying the role in which they would like, it makes it much more efficient and we can get up and running quicker. Can you please explain the reasoning behind it? Because before I finish, we also, when we're sending out the nominations, we provide them with a fairly detailed list as to what is going to be required for each of those positions as well.
Well, it comes down to it. There's not. It's not. You can do that. I have seen councils where you fill in your nomination form that says I'd like to run as a general. I'd like to be elected as a general member, and then at the next another question on the nomination form says, there's a space to say, hey, in the meanwhile, there is an executive position I'm interested in, and I'd like to be considered for that position, right? But the elections for that won't happen unless you get elected first as a general member. So is that the kind of question is that an answer you're hoping for, or you're just to get?
Yeah, I just kind of want to understand, because for almost since the inception, we've sort of been following the guidelines that parents who want to volunteer to be a voting member they'll be parent members, but at that same time, there's always only a handful of parents who are willing to actually make the sacrifice to become part of the executive. And so I'm just wondering why, for efficiency's sake, you can form the parent council from the parent members, but even the same evening, or why would you not be able to vote for the election?
See, let me jump in with that one, Felicia. So a couple of things, Kim. In order to be an executive of council, you first have to be voted as a member of council, right? So when councils, and that's just what the regulation states, you can't just become a chair or a co-chair unless you have been first officially elected to the school council, right? So I'm hearing you ask two different things. So if on the same evening you say, you know what, Michelle, we want to host our elections to ensure that we've confirmed all our parents, caregivers on the council. And then after we've done that, then those members will then elect the executive. Then I say there's no problem with that, because we're just talking about timing. What cannot happen is you cannot send out nominations to say, please tell us whether you want to be a chair, co-chair, vice chair of council, because then that's breaching the guidelines, because now you're electing executives when you don't even have a council yet. So the simplest way I explain it is, you cannot, it is the council that chooses who they want the chair to be, not the general parents and caregivers. The general parents in the school will elect and choose who they want to represent them on council. That's the general membership election. Once you've gotten your group of members, they then get to choose who will lead from among themselves. So that's the core reason why we encourage that your nominations are clear, because when you put both on one form, very likely that your parents get confused, right? So they're either assuming, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that is totally fair. I don't know what other schools are like, but we find it hard to even get parents to actually become involved and want to volunteer. So most of the time we'll have like a fairly good turnout on day one, and then we fail to we struggle to hit quorum. So the reason, normally we don't even have to, I don't think we've ever had to have an election for the parent members, because we've never had enough of them to actually like hit the number that we need. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yes. So here's the language that I'm trying to get councils with, right? So you hosted, what you didn't do was actually held a vote for your members. You acclaimed your members. Can I put it that way? Right? Because you did put out nomination forms, you did put out date and time. When they returned, you recognized you had not enough, well, let me change my language. The numbers of applicants, right, did not exceed the number of vacancies. Can I put it that way? Right? So you acclaimed all of your members. And so
Correct.
what we're encouraging is that councils, even when you're small and getting no one, continue that practice. Because as you grow, then what you're passing on to other parents as they come in is the right practice. When you don't engage in that practice, what happens is parents who get involved learn the wrong practice, normalize it, and then we'll say, well, that's not what we did. That's not how we did it. We've always done it this way because that's what we're working with now. About engaging parents and caregivers in council, that's a different conversation, right? About a culture of how we get parents engaged in council. But as it relates to the elections, we just encourage that you do your general membership election first, and your general members can then elect your executive.
Okay, but that can actually happen within a very short window.
Depending on your council, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the next meeting, but
it could be
there's no rush to do it the same night if you don't feel comfortable.
Right. But our parents are eager to get started. This year, like, we have quite a few brand new members or people that are interested, and as a council, I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing everyone's time, but as a council, we are hesitant to let it linger too long. We want to engage. We want to get the parents feeling the value, understanding the value of what they're bringing, and getting the information and seeing the value out of our parent council so that we can continue to grow and create a positive environment and have everybody, going for it.
Great. Thanks so much, Kim. That's hopefully that clears it up for you. We have Nazra. Did you want to share something about that, or can we go to?
Sure.
Okay.
I just wanted to quickly show how quickly you can create your doodle poll. Like, I did it while we were chatting. And it's an example of running an election for a chair or co-chair position. And you can do the same thing for treasurer or secretary, etc. And I think like a neutral third party, whether I'm seeing that we have a CSW, so hey Patrick, those guys are and ladies are instrumental sometimes in school council elections, especially in schools that may not have the support, right? So using something like a doodle poll will make it anonymous, have a third party like a principal or a vice principal or a community support worker run that election, and you get your results immediately. The other thing is, the reason why you don't want to do both at the same time also is because I found in my years of experience is that parents hesitate because they don't want all the responsibility. They just want to be on the council and have a say, but they don't want to be chairing meetings or taking minutes or writing PSABs and financial reports. They want to be involved, but they don't want all that responsibility. So this gives an opportunity for parents to say, yes, I want to be a part of the council, but I don't technically want to have that executive role. And separating it out gets you a lot more engagement. And I know that there's another session on engagement, but everything kind of goes hand in hand. So just have a look at Doodle, show it to your principal. If you have a CSW, show it to your CSW, and it's pretty straightforward. There is no cost, Kim. Yeah, it's free. It's a free tool. Literally,
thanks so much.
Your Gmail account. So anyway, have a click the link and have a look at it. You can see how quickly you can tally the votes up, right?
I'm a fan of doodle polls as well. So, preaching to the choir to me anyways. So thank you. We actually have 2 hands up from our Janice. Actually, is it okay if I go to one of the other members before I get to you? Thanks. Wen To. Hi, you're muted still. Oh, you're still muted.
Sorry.
No
Okay,
problem.
so if we're going to do the election of the executive right after the general election, and like I understand like it's easy to do the doodle poll, but how do you collect all the emails of the voting members right away that you can send to them to do the poll, right? Because we're virtual, so like I was thinking of running the election using the poll function of the Zoom, but that opens to all the attendees, right? So if only the voting members is permitted to vote on the executive, then the Zoom poll function doesn't work.
That's a great question. So because you do register, right? Your members do, your attendees do register using Zoom when you register for the meeting. So you could gather those emails from doing a report under the Zoom reports in the background. And you can collect emails that way. And then from there, you can use that, figure out who is part of your voting general members, and then send out emails that way. That's one suggestion I have. Anybody else want to chime in? Michelle?
Yeah, I was going to say real quickly, and I think it's in the chat, that one, when you send out your nominations form, email addresses is one thing you collect. So you'll have those. Two, when you're registering for your council meetings, ensure that your participants register and provide email addresses. So that will enable you to collect them all to then be able to communicate your polls with them.
Okay.
Can I respond to this as well?
Sure.
Actually, to your point, so what we did at Northern is we set up a unique email, like a Gmail account for Northern SS Council elections. And we have two impartial parents who volunteered to run the election. They are not going to be running to be on the council. One of them is our ex-community member, and the other one is an ex-member of council from last year. So they will be managing it. So that's how they were communicating to anybody who's interested, because really the chair, if they're intending on running again, should not be managing the election, right? Or the co-chair. So anybody who intends on coming back should not be managing this election. It should be done by a third party. And then once you are able to communicate the information out to them, you can then run the actual election through the doodle function.
Thanks, Janice.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. Anna Lee, trying to get to people who haven't spoken yet. Anna Lee?
Hi, good evening. I actually missed the part where Michelle was talking about that the parents, I just need to be clear on this part, that parents who actually want to be a part of the parents being a part of the council, do we have to actually have the parents like an election for the parents to be a part of the parent council body itself, as opposed to be the executive? Like, let me see.
So yeah, so first you should elect your general membership of parents.
Parents. So for all the parents, like for children that come out of school, the parents who want to be like in a meeting, we actually have to have them voting to be a part of.
Yes. Yes. First you form like a general council members. And then from those general council members, you elect your executive to lead that group.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for the clarity. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. All right, Jane.
Hi there. I'm just going to start by saying that that was also news to me tonight. I'm learning a lot. So I'm currently the chair for our parent council, and we're in one of those school councils where I was almost voluntold because I was one of the few people willing to take a role, and so we don't have enough people to fill our positions either. I'm going to be doing it again this year, but I was curious because we haven't actually used the pre-registration feature in Zoom before, and I was following some of the guidelines on the PIAC website and saw that we should be setting that up. So I was just curious, is the idea that this is just strictly for the voting for the elections, or is this something we should be using on a regular basis?
Michelle, I don't know what the official word is, but I know for the councils that I'm a part of, we do ask everyone pre-register for every single meeting that every single school council meeting that we host. Michelle?
And we encourage it, particularly when we, because there are many council meetings where Zoom bombing was taking place. Your registration is one way to control that, because who registers is who gets your link, right? If they don't register with you, then it doesn't prohibit Zoom bombing, but it limits it, because only those who have registered will be in your meeting space. And that's why we encourage registration, so you're very clear as to who's in your meeting and who should not be there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you for the great question. We have time for probably one more. Kwabena?
Yes, good night, everyone. My question again, and maybe it's Michelle again, who or anyone else who can answer this. I want to go back to the whole basic idea of the general membership being voted on. And again, I am making reference to Kim and the person who just finished talking, and it was Jane, who talked about situations where you can hardly find enough people to even volunteer, where you have councils that are so few that when you look at all the executive positions, you don't even have enough people in the general membership to fill one of each of those positions at times. So if you're, and I get all these election, if you have these competitive councils across Toronto where everybody's just jumping to be member of those council, and then you need to put all of those things in place. But let's go to other councils who maybe, we should be in the other session about engaging council and all of that, but that's another story. Let's talk specifically about elections. I see that in terms of the election for executive, I see that totally appropriate because that's always been traditional. But the idea of parents to become elected just to be a part of the council, and not just by, you don't get that natural right by having a child in the school. So could you just explain the premise of that for me?
Michelle, I can try tackling this, if that's okay. So, Quina, every parent, guardian can join a council meeting. It's not that they're prohibited from attending a council meeting. We're talking about, having a general membership that helps to vote on and decide on the course of any activities, for the council, for the school. The last thing you want is to say every member of the school, every parent of the school is a member of the council and has a vote. And then all of a sudden, what happens if you get a group of parents who have their own agenda that they suddenly want to bring forward, and they can then come in and hijack a meeting and say, well, I'm a member of the parent council. I have a vote. I can vote, and I can, I would like to vote in whatever action they decide, right? That is important to them. So by having a general membership, those are the members that are elected to represent all the parent voices. Did I do okay, Michelle?
Yes, you did great, great, Felicia. Thank you. Thanks for the question, Kwabena. If I may add simply that every parent caregiver in the school has a right, to put forth their interest in being on council. But not every parent and caregiver will have the right to be a voting member on council unless they're elected to it, right? So I'm hearing you talk about the practice, and I'm seeing it a lot across the district, where school councils, when particularly they say they have difficulties with parents, any member who shows up at any time, you're automatically a voting member. As Felicia's alluded to, that can create real challenges for your council when it comes to decision making. One council meeting, you get 10. The next council meeting, you get 2. Then following one, you get 3. So you can run into challenges where you have random individuals making random decisions about what council does, how it operates, how it does it, which is why the regulations clearly state that it's really important that you know who the members are, the voting members, but you welcome every parent and caregiver to attend a meeting. So council meetings are open to every parent caregiver. It's just that those who have been elected are the ones who vote.
Can I do a follow-up to that there, Felicia? Thank you. You guys have done well in bringing me up to speed, but I do want to do a follow-up for clarity. And I just want to be sure where equity is concerned, that we're on the right path. So if we have an election for the voting member of council, let me speak in that way then. So in the vote for the voting member of council, what about parents who weren't around when the election was happening and now want to be part of it? Is it a situation where we have election at other times? Is it a one-time election? How often do we have these elections? What's going on there?
So Kwabena, because of time, I'd love to, if you can, have a follow-up conversation with you around this, because this is why we talk about there's some connecting pieces, right? So for example, real quickly, if you have bylaws that state you have 20 parents who make up your council, right? We'll be right there. And your 20 people, you host elections, you get only 10. What that means is you have a vacancy to fill that you can fill throughout the school year, and parents, councils are able to fill their vacancies throughout the school year, as long as they're vacancies. And if you fill those spaces, then council is welcomed. All parents and caregivers are welcome to attend your council meeting, provide their feedback. They just won't vote. So I'll be willing to follow up with you on this. Please just reach out to me so I can better answer any questions that you may have, or even better yet, your PIAC rep for your school would also probably be able to support you, because I want to be sure that you get the answers to your questions so your council can operate effectively. We are out of time, Felicia.
Yes, I see we got a return. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining on this conversation this evening. It sounds like it was eye-opening and a great learning opportunity for many. Thank you, Els, for joining us. And thank you, Michelle, for popping in and supporting as well. And wanted to thank all the PIAC members for joining as well. And just a special shout out to Principal Belhumer from Ward 3. I just wanted to say I see you here, and thanks for joining. Okay, see you all back in the webinar main room. Thank you.